This perp back with another video, and I just got done watching Let the Right One In, Season 1, Episode 3, and man, this series just keeps getting better and better with each episode, and I appreciate everybody just giving their feedback, whether they're leaving likes, subscribing, or commenting on the content. Just, man, I really appreciate it, and keep it going with this episode as well. Let me know your thoughts and comments as we go through and break down each scene and just this episode as a whole. With all that being said, let's get right into episode 3. So this episode kicks things off very fast, I would say, or urgent. Well, in Mark's case, because Mark is ready to just dip. He just already feels like things are going to go left. Tells Ellie, like, look, we're going to have to leave. We're just going to have to move to a different area. Ellie's really not having none of this shit. She's like, I'm tired of moving around. You can't make me do this. And even gives Mark an ultimatum, like, look, if you don't let me do what I want to do, or if you stop me from wanting to see Isaiah, I'm going to go out in the sun. That's some dark shit. And it really goes to show you a lot of what Ellie's going through mentally, with just being cooped up and not able to go like to school or just live life like a normal kid. On the other side of things, you have Claire trying to just wrap her head around what she's just seen her brother do, like literally seeing somebody just getting killed. And there's an interesting theme throughout this episode and just these 3 episodes as a whole, with people just witnessing somebody being killed, and her having to deal with that. And not only dealing with that, at that time her father just passes away, and it's just one thing after another, and it's really sad to see Claire kind of go through this. But the acting in this episode from everybody was really top notch. I'm also curious to see how this brother-sister duo is going to play out, because I definitely think that could go either way, that these two could definitely become the big villains by the end of this season. So the next day goes by, and Mark tries to make things right with Ellie, trying to kind of talk to her. Then Mark kind of, gets confronted. Not confronted, but Naomi comes up to Mark as he's leaving, or he's trying to get on the elevator, and these two are getting way too close, and even Mark feels this way. And Naomi tries to say, like, I really like that our kids are pretty much getting along, and I want us to kind of exchange numbers so they can, set up play dates. Wink, wink. So that's interesting to me. But on the flip side of things, you have Naomi having to follow up with this homicide case and just figure out what's going on, because in the previous episode she found out that the person that got murdered by somebody did that by hand. So as she starts to investigate more, they come across this survivor, and she's pretty banged up. She kind of reminds me of that Good Night Mommy, scene where, if you've seen the movie, you know what I'm talking about. But that's what I thought about, and it's crazy too. It's just how traumatized this chick Christina was, and I'm curious to see if she's going to pop up again later on in the series, or was she bitten? That's another thing that we have not seen somebody actually be turned just of yet, but I think that it's very possible. We'll have to see. But now, see, you have Mark. He has a big issue now, because where he hid the body Isaiah's father's body. Somebody has bought that property, so he has to move the body, which leads him to go to Zeke's house. And I like how Zeke is trying to live his best life. He even has a little sneaky link that he's trying to turn into wifey. You know what I'm saying? He's just living his best life, enjoying cooking and just, getting away from this lifestyle. But Mark seems to kind of bring him back into this with pretty much telling him, like, look, things might go left, so I need you to hold it down if anything were to happen to me, because I feel like I'm going to get arrested or something bad is going to happen. So I need you to be there for Ellie if I get arrested or anything, pretty much goes south. And also, I need you to help me get rid of a body one more time. Which is a lot of pressure to put on somebody that doesn't really want anything to do with this lifestyle. But speaking of Ellie, she really cares about Isaiah. They're texting back and forth. It's almost like they're boyfriend and girlfriend at this point. It's adorable. So what's interesting about Ellie is, there's something that Mark told her that I think kind of sparks something in her, saying something about her maturity. And this leads her to pretty much take the broken glass from that broken mirror and make something out of it, which we'll get into that. And I think it's really dope to kind of see with this type of show. But we'll get into that very shortly. Something I really enjoy about this show is they really do a good job of making you care about all these different characters, even these characters that might seem like just grunts or just side characters, like this dude Matt that has been really loyal to Claire's father and feels like he deserves a little bit more respect, where Claire is just has so much disdain and hatred and resentment for her father. She just doesn't really care. She doesn't really understand why Matt is so loyal. But it doesn't change the fact that just because he's gone now doesn't mean he's going to switch up. So he makes sure to let Claire know, like, I'm loyal to this family, so whatever you need, I got you. And I really like that. So I'm curious to see where they're going to take these two's characters, because I think they could do some type of maybe of a love story, possibly in like a season 2. Who knows if he's even going to survive this season. We'll have to wait and see. We know how you guys feel about these two characters moving forward and where they could possibly take it. So Isaiah has to deal with a lot of love and hate going back into school. He's really killed it with the talent show. A lot of people have really embraced Isaiah, and when you get a lot of love, you're going to also have a lot of hate and people antagonizing his bullies and stuff. They didn't take too kindly with that, so they end up pretty much setting up Isaiah and beating him up with this like sock thing filled. I don't know what the sock was filled with, but they were beating him up, and that's not going to be a good look for them. Ellie's going to be really pissed. We're going to get to that very shortly, though. So next scene we get, though, is where Zeke comes to visit Ellie, and you see that they are very close. This is his goddaughter that we learn in this episode as well, and we can kind of get a glimpse of the early stages of him kind of being involved with this and being kind of hesitant, because he definitely sees that this is no way for a child to live her life, but he realizes like he's doing all this for Ellie. And I'm curious to see if they are going to end up killing off Mark's character at the end of this season. I think it's very likely in the series. Maybe not the first season, but it's crazy because I think it's up in the air for any of these characters to kind of just go. But I just like that we finally get to see what Ellie was creating. It was like pretty much like a sunrise, and that's really telling. Like, a kid has gone this long and hasn't seen the sunrise, and she's only been a child of the night now, and it's really starting to sink in. A lot is being told just by body language and facial expression in this scene. And I think this is like one of my favorite scenes of this episode and just the series as a whole. Moving on to the scene where we have Naomi and her partner checking out where Christine was attacked, doing their job, but what they end up finding is something that they would have never probably come across and probably are lucky to even survive. They find Christina's attacker, and it's just really terrifying, and I just really like the way that this was completely shot, where you have Naomi's partner getting attacked, and I don't know if we're gonna see him eventually turn or if it's gonna end up killing him or something like that. It's very interesting, but it's definitely a traumatizing thing to happen with Naomi's character, because she almost got killed in that moment too. If she was able to shoot this man in his head, or this thing, or this creature, it's crazy. And I really like how Christina also described that. She really went into detail, like this thing was laughing and it had glowing eyes, like it was reflecting like a cat and stuff. And for her to kind of see it for herself, it's definitely going to be something that she's not going to be able to get out of her mind. Swinging back to Isaiah and Ellie, where Ellie finds out that pretty much Isaiah's been getting bullied and got beaten up a little bit. She decides to kind of take matters into her own hands. And I like that Isaiah tries to kind of play it off like, yo, show me that trick, because that's what the bullies want. They want Isaiah to show how he did that trick, but he doesn't know. So we'll get into that. Now, this is interesting too, because Claire, she continuously is finding out more and more about her father. And not only that, he uses humans as like human blood banks. They're also pretty much drug dealers, you know what I'm saying? And in that one drug that's on the street, I think that's going to come back into play with everything, and they're going to try to mass produce it or do something with it to kind of help out her brother, because I feel like eventually he's probably going to heal up. I just think that it's going to take some time and more blood. And as she goes deeper and deeper down this path, I think she might end up worse than her father. She might be more sinister in certain ways. We'll have to wait and see, though. Because as she moves in, she starts to do a little bit of spring cleaning and get rid of a lot of pictures of her father, and pretty much tells her brother, like, it's just you and me from now on. It's going to be interesting. I'm really looking forward to see where they take the story for these two characters. If it's going to be something in the long run, or I don't know, man. It's really a wild card at this point. Let me know how you guys feel about it. So now things are getting really complicated as Zeke and Mark kind of come across this tweaker. And because this tweaker thinks that Zeke is the guy that's selling this drug, the pill that Mark had at the beginning of this episode, or just since the end of episode 1, really. He's able to kind of get away, and that kind of causes some commotion. We don't know who saw that. Obviously, somebody saw that, because somebody is watching Mark, and I don't know if they're going to confront Mark at some point in the season. Probably more towards the end of the season. But they have to pretty much get rid of this one body, and this is where Mark lets Zeke know, like, here's a list of all the people I've killed, kind of like a confession. And it's crazy that he has this whole crazy contingency plan, and this is a lot for Zeke to kind of take in. And I'm not too sure that, Zeke is going to want to, go all the way through with it, because he's just living his best life. Like I said, like, it seems like he was on a path to just living a normal life, but now it seems like everything has kind of changed ever since Mark kind of popped back up. Then we have Mark going over to Naomi's house to pick up Ellie. But these two are getting way too comfortable with each other, where I understand in this case that Naomi just went through a traumatic experience and she doesn't know how to react. She just literally says, I need a distraction right now. And Mark starts to talk about cooking and even alludes to, seeing, alluding that, he is a killer, or he knows what it feels like to see somebody die, because she pretty much comes out and says, like, this is what's been on my mind. Like, I just saw somebody die right now. And the way that she described it, Mark automatically is like, yeah, I understand what you're talking about, but I can't let you know exactly what is going on. And I think eventually these two are going to work together, or Naomi's going to get more information as time goes on. Finally, we get to the end of the episode. This is my favorite part of the episode, where Ellie finally gets kind of her get back for Isaiah, where she confronts one of his bullies, and says, look, leave him alone and there won't be any issues. And of course, this guy has to kind of talk back and tries to give her Ellie the finger. Ellie breaks his finger and pretty much laughs it off, and pretty much goes to text Isaiah saying, like, you don't have to worry, but then kind of falls back on it, which I don't know if that's going to be, there's definitely going to be some fallback to that. And Ellie and Mark are definitely making the block hot right now, but I just like how this whole episode came together. Let me know how you guys feel about this episode. I thought it was one of the best so far. Till next time, I'll see y'all in the next one. Peace.